All right, I'm here with Dale Valor. He is an expert in the dating niche, just like I am. And before we begin, I just want to say that my website is joresults.com. If you go there, all you got to do is you put in your email and you will get a free ebook. It's my ebook. It's only 20 pages. That's all it is. If you like it and you enjoy it, you can join my community. My community is only $27 per month, hundreds of videos, and there's a weekly conference call as well with me and my group with like-minded people. And it's joresults.com. All right, let's begin.
Johnny, thanks so much, man. I like I was just telling you before we even got started, man. I absolutely love these opportunities. I love doing podcasts. It's one of my favorite things in the world, man. So thank you for the opportunity. I'm really looking forward to delving in, getting into the conversation, and having some fun with it.
Absolutely. My first question is what was your first moments where you decided to dive into the rabbit hole of getting into the dating niche in the self-help area and learning about people and dating?
And this is only 20 minutes.
We might go a little longer.
I'll, I'll give you the broad strokes version. So, well, actually, let me just for clarity. Do you mean getting into coaching, or do you mean kind of just finding out about I guess, the improvement space in general?
Both.
Okay, cool, cool. All right, so here's the deal, man. I think I have a little bit of a unique story here, but I also think it's relevant to so many guys out there in the sense of just wanting to improve, wanting to be better. I approach this and tackle this from an inner game perspective, right? Like I'm constantly helping guys build confidence and self-esteem and self-discipline and things like that because I find it to be fundamental, right? Your mindset, everything starts with that. So that's where I'm going to start. I didn't find this space like the dating space and the community, if you will. I don't know how old you are, man, but
It remains a mystery.
the message board community
No
of
one
the mid
knows.
2000s. Okay, so um, you know, I was already married, and I'm still married to this day to the same woman, and that I think that's kind of why it's somewhat of an interesting story. So one day I'm driving around, right, and I like listening to talk radio. It's just one of my things that I like. And there was a radio show local to me in Detroit where they had somebody on. This is around 2005, 2006, and previous to my marriage, just terrible with dating and things like that. I just fumbled my way into getting married, I guess. But not a lot of dating experience or anything like that. And so driving around, listen to this radio show, and they're talking about they got this guest on. Now I didn't know who this guest was because I didn't know that world. I'm gonna say, just going out on a limb, it's probably Neil Strauss, because that was right around the time the book The Game came out and all that.
Okay.
Okay, and so I'm just listening to this, and I've always had an interest in psychology and why people do what they do and how they intercommunicate with each other and things like that. Well, I'm listening to this show, and they're just bringing up like all these different concepts, but it's really related to dating. But
Right.
I'm like, man, this is fascinating. This is super interesting. And but whatever. What am I going to do with that information? Yeah, it's interesting, but it doesn't really apply to me.
Okay.
So a couple of weeks go by, and my wife is like, "Hey, I need to talk to you. Serious conversation." I'm like, "Uh oh." And so we sit down, we start talking. Well, she comes out to me as being bisexual. And what does that mean? What does that look like for us? And she wants to kind of navigate this new world to her.
Right.
And me being a guy, like, man, it sounds great,
Yeah, for most
but
guys, yeah, exactly.
right. And so I came at it from a very immature response. Okay, but I can own up to that now. But I was 31, I think, at this point. And as we're talking and trying to hash it out and see what that means and what that looks like, she's like, "Hey, I want to go out here and kind of do my thing. But I don't think it's fair to you if I'm out here doing what I'm doing, and what are you going to do? You're just going to sit home, twiddle your thumbs, like. So if you want to get out here and start dating and things like that, I don't have a problem with that. I'm not going to be jealous or anything like that. What's fair is fair.
Okay.
And so I'm like, okay, that sounds cool. And so I'm thinking to myself, this is like a second lease on a dating life because I never had that in high school, my college age years, and all that kind of thing. And at this point, we'd already been married like 6 years.
Right.
And so now I'm like, what do I do?
Yeah.
So I go and I sit in front of the computer. I'm like, okay, Google machine, how to talk to girls, how to flirt, all that kind of thing, right? And as I'm kind of going through very normie advice, be confident, be yourself, that kind of rhetoric. As I keep scrolling down, I see some things that kind of harken back to that show that I heard on the radio. A
Yeah.
lot of the same verbiage. And I'm like, huh, that sounds like what I was listening to. So I click on that.
Okay.
And from there, it was like down the rabbit hole I go. And so I just started working on it. But the thing that really hit me was that, and I think this is very true of most guys, and feel free to tell me if this is what you see too. We all have different experiences and whatnot.
Yeah.
But what I came to realize was it wasn't about getting better with women. It was about getting better with myself.
Yeah.
And that's really where the inner game thing really kind of to start and cement for me was, like if I'm gonna have good relationships, if I'm gonna have women that want to be with me, they want to be with me, not a facade, not an image that I'm propping up. And that real me needs to be the best version of me that I can possibly bring to the table.
Yeah.
If your relationships, aren't going well, there's a good chance that the relationship with you isn't as solid as you might think that it is. And that's not to say that it's all your fault or anything like that, but I think it's a pretty fair question. What am I not doing that isn't bringing in the types of women that I would like to date into my life? What am I not solid on about myself? And fix those things, because that obviously transcends to so many different areas of life. It isn't just about talking to girls, it's about talking to anybody.
Yeah.
Me talking to you right now.
Yeah.
Right? So that's kind of where it all started for me. Fast forward about 10 years. And I was always trying to find a local community to me of guys that were going out, that were I don't know if you were around back in the days where they had like layers
Yeah.
and things like that.
Yeah, it was.
But I was always looking for something like that because it was just me, the Lone Ranger. For 10 years, dude, I went out by myself all the time. No wingman, nothing. It was just always me. And I finally find a community of guys. And it was kind of popping. I'm like, I can't believe that I've never ran into any of these guys anywhere before. But be that as it may, I finally find this group. And I started attending they kind of, they're doing like monthly meetups and then going out afterwards, that type of thing. And so there's about 40, 50 guys that are a part of this local community.
What city was it in?
Detroit.
Okay.
And so, I'm become a regular there and everything. And it's not that people can't learn new things, but I've been doing this a long time at this point. I've been doing it for a decade.
Okay.
And I'm seeing a lot of the guys where they're just kind of messing up and just like, dude, don't say that. No, okay, your posture sucks, bro. Like, things like that. And so, didn't take too long before I was the guy that was running it was like, dude, I could really use your help, man. Like, you're very knowledgeable and you know what you're doing. Would you be opposed to, kind of co-running this with me? And I was like, yeah, I like that. Okay. now I never like kind of got into this to be a coach or anything like that. But I was like, if I can help people, I will.
Yeah.
And so it wasn't a big commitment. So I'm like, okay, cool. Fast forward about another 6 months. They planned this trip to Thailand. Okay. There's like a bunch of the guys, whoever could afford it or wanted to go or whatever. We're going to do this big group trip. And so there was about 8 of us that went. And I kind of became the de facto big brother, if you will.
Okay.
And so the guys that were a part of that trip, they're just coming to me. What should I do? How should I approach this situation? Hey,
Yeah.
what should I say to them? Hey, how should I do this? Hey, I was talking to this girl over here. And so I'm just telling them what I think they should do. And it just, it just landed.
Right.
So I'm like on my 18-hour or 20-hour trip home. I'm thinking to myself, I'm like, you know, I think I might be able to do this. I think I might be able to actually coach this.
Yeah.
I get back, and then not very long after, because the word was out now, Dale knows what he's doing. And so one of the guys is like, man, I'm thinking about starting up my own coaching thing. He was like, would you want to be a part of that? And I'm like, yeah, okay, cool. And, you know, I'm not going to go through all the stuff that came along with that. But ultimately, I ended up doing my own thing. It got kind of, it was rolling. And then I linked up with, I don't know if you know Jared Syke Lawrence for Modern Success.
So
But
what I saw him
mhm,
many years ago at the 21 convention
okay,
that Anthony hosted. I don't think he hosts anymore, but I remember he gave a speech there
okay,
back around the time when the guy by the name of Mystery was pretty famous. And
right,
I thought he was an all right guy, and but I noticed over the past few years his Instagram has grown pretty substantially.
yeah,
And
mhm,
I knew a guy that worked with him as well, and he talked about his experiences with him too. But yeah, I have met well, yeah, I met him one time several
okay,
years ago, but I
gotcha,
haven't spoke to him in years and years. But I know
okay,
who he is, and so you got connected with him. So the way
yeah,
that I understand it is you got married, and
mhm,
then after you were married for several years, your
yep,
wife comes out and says she's bisexual.
mhm,
That's pretty interesting. And then you got into this field from there.
yep,
Then after you dove into this field, you found the lair in Detroit,
yep,
and then you went to that trip in Thailand. You came back, and then you thought, oh, you know, as time kept progressing, maybe I could do this. This might
yeah,
be a calling for you.
yep,
So now we're at the point now where you're talking with Jared.
right, yeah. You encapsulated that much better than I probably laid it out. But yeah, you got it. So um so anyway, I meet Jared. We started our companies I mean, like pretty much the same week of the same year. And I saw a lot of the things that he was doing. And I was like, man, this guy's doing everything that I want to do.
Yeah.
He's either already doing it and better, doing it better, or you know, he's doing stuff or he's planning stuff that I was like, man, that's what I want to do. You know, like I was already planning the same thing. So we just started talking and stuff like that because he had a Facebook group that was doing well, and so did I. It was about right at the same level,
Yeah.
and we started talking, and it just basically got down to the point of where it's like, man, it just makes more sense for us to kind of work together.
Yeah.
So I've been with Jared now for about 5 years, four and a half,
Okay.
5 years, something like that. Yeah. So in my role in lane there, so we have coaches that kind of cover specific areas, niche areas and whatnot. Um, my particular role there, I have two, but the main one is inner game, and then the second one being dating for relationships, so intentional dating, or if you're already into a relationship, how to make that relationship stronger and keep that attraction going, and to keep it progressing and moving forward.
Gotcha.
Yeah, so that's where we're at, which leads me to right now today with you.
That's pretty interesting, man. And I like the way that you use your hand gestures. They're pretty captivating. It keeps my attention. When you're going
Oh, well,
like
thank you.
you're just going like that, all of a sudden I'm like, whoa, there it is. Yeah. So I'll tell you a little bit about my story since
Okay,
you
cool.
went into your story.
Yeah.
Well, we'll start off in high school. So
Hmm.
whenever I was 18 I'd say younger, maybe about 16 years old,
Yeah.
I had the biggest crush on this girl.
Hmm.
And I thought she was so gorgeous. I thought that she was so intelligent. And I couldn't express myself at all. I couldn't speak elegantly. And I was like, I didn't know what to do. I'm full of testosterone. I'm a teenager. I was drawing a picture of her, like randomly drawing a picture of her. I'm like, oh, there she is. She's so beautiful.
That's
And there,
adorable, by the way.
and this class bully, he walks over to me, grabs the damn picture, pulls it up, and he's like, "What is this?" And he shows it to everybody, and everybody's
Oh,
laughing at me.
that
Everybody's just like
sucks, dude.
the whole class is erupting and laughing, and
Uh-huh.
he shows her the picture, and she's like, thanks. Like, and that's where that started. And what I ended up doing from there is the first book that I read was The Game by Neil Strauss. So I read his book
Hmm.
with him and Mystery and their adventures that they had together, and I ended up watching several of Mystery's videos that he had. He had a thing called the brain transplant, and he was like maybe a B or C list celebrity for a while. And
Yeah,
I
yeah,
know he
yeah.
was on the VH1. He had a VH1 show
Right.
episodes, 2 seasons he had of that.
Yep.
And I watched them and I learned a lot of stuff from him. And I think during that period of time, that stuff was great, although times change. So something that's relevant back then might not always be relevant even 5 to 10 years in the future.
Hmm.
And some of it still is timeless, some of the stuff that he teaches or that he taught in his theories, but some of it isn't. And then, a good example of this, a great example is talking about attention spans. Attention spans are so short right now.
Hmm.
So, you know, I try to, if I can, if I'm telling a story, I try to not make it that long, if I can, just because if I'm talking to a girl that's maybe 21 or 22, they might not have the attention span for it. Maybe an older girl will if she's like in her 30s and we're
Hmm.
getting along, but I try to limit those kinds of things. So I notice stuff like that changes with TikTok and YouTube Shorts and Reels. So, and that's something that I feel like it probably changes every 5 to 10 years. There's different trends, there's different fashion. Girls even like a lot of different music now that they did before. For instance, country music wasn't even that popular at that period in time when the term layers were around. Not really anybody even listened to it. But now I can go to a bar and it's packed with 300 people
Hmm.
and there's maybe 200 beautiful girls there and they're all jamming out to country music.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
anyways, what happened was I told you about the high school story. So I ended up studying different people and I ended up getting different I had some girlfriends, several girlfriends, and then I went to college. I got a degree. I got a bachelor's degree, and I worked in science field for a while.
Okay.
And at some point, I said, you know what? I really enjoyed those times whenever I was out socializing with people, getting to know all kinds of people, just going on so many adventures. I was like, I want to do that again. I had
Hmm.
so much fun doing that. I had so many great adventures. I want to have more of those adventures. So I'd say the past since 2020, since COVID, I've had so many kinds of adventures, so many things have happened. And I thought, you know what, this would be fun because I did a little bit of coaching. I thought this would be
Yeah.
fun to do some more coaching. And, and that's what I'm doing now. I've been teaching people. I taught this guy recently in Miami. He didn't have a girlfriend for like 3 years. He doesn't date, and I told him everything that I learned throughout the years,
Hmm.
everything that worked for me and that I thought could work for him. And I said, look, you have to listen to what I say, because if you go on it like, I don't know,
Yeah. Well, then what's
you're
the
not,
point?
yeah,
Oh,
then
why am
what's
I
the
here
point?
if you're not going to listen to me?
Yeah,
Right.
exactly,
Yeah.
exactly. So he said, I'm going to be like a sponge. He said, I'll be like a sponge. I said, all right, great. And I told him everything. Every time I opened my mouth, it was to give him valuable information. And within 1 month, he had a girlfriend and he was
Nice.
very happy. But then
Yeah.
you got other people, they'll be on the fence. You'll talk with them and they're like, I don't know. And it's like, look, if you wanted your life changed, you're going to have to listen at least a little bit.
Yeah. If you keep doing the same thing, you will continue to get the same results.
Yeah.
But people get comfortable in that. And it's like, the way I like to put it is like this. Imagine that you got some gym shoes, whatever, sneakers, and they are ratty as hell. Okay. They are beat down, but man, are they comfortable,
Yeah.
right? And you're like, man, I really need some new shoes. This is a bad look.
Yeah.
So you go and you get yourself some new shoes. Well, what's going to happen? You got to break them in a little bit,
Yeah.
right? They're not like formed to your foot the right way yet, and maybe you even get a blister,
Possibly.
and you might be saying to yourself, "Well, man, if I just put on them old shoes, I would be so much more comfortable right now." But yeah, but you'd be back in the same boat that you were.
Yeah.
Everyone's laughing at you because your kicks look like you found them in a dumpster.
Yeah.
So, you know, you might just have to bite the bullet for a little bit with some sore feet until that breaks in. And now what do you have? You have the best of both worlds. The shoes are now comfortable and they look 1,000 times better.
Yeah.
So, yeah, man, to your point, if and that's the important thing about coaching is like it's like you're not working with me to you're not paying me to be your pal, to be your
Yeah.
best friend.
Yeah.
Doesn't mean I'm going to be a jerk to somebody, but at the same time, I have to be able to tell you what it is that I diagnose and see as an issue that you don't know what you don't know.
Mhm.
I'll give you an example. I had a student. By the way, quick side note: are you based in Miami?
I am not. I'm in Pennsylvania right now, but I do
Oh, gotcha.
travel. I do travel frequently to Miami.
Oh, okay, okay, all right. Um, all right. That aside, there was a reason that I asked, but it's not relevant, I guess. So, um, I had this student, and you're in Pennsylvania, it gets cold
Yeah.
in the winter, right?
Yeah.
And so we go out to this club, and by the way, the student had been doing really well. He's one of the people that I have worked with. He top five as far as most successful and things like that.
Very nice.
So um, he had been doing really, really, really well. And then we go to the club, and what is he doing? Like he's approaching. The conversation seemed like they're going fine, but I'm taking a step back. I'm just so I can observe and see what's going on. He's wearing a coat, right?
Yeah.
And at the bottom of your coat, you got a zipper.
Yeah.
Fiddling, 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 fiddling. Just playing with this
Oh,
zipper like
okay.
crazy, up and down, up
Yeah.
and down, up and down. Right?
Super nervous energy. Okay.
Right, exactly. And it just wasn't landing the same as it was before it got cold. Okay.
Yeah.
So I pull him aside. I'm like, bro, I swear to God, man, if I see you play with that zipper one more time, I'm going to chop your fingers off. I'm not even taking the zipper off your jacket. I'm taking your fingers off your hand. you know? And
Yeah.
so he got that under control. And normally I'm not a guy that's like a fan of guys having their hands in their pockets
Yeah.
either. But I was like, dude, I would rather your hands be in your coat pocket than you doing this.
Right.
Like you're like playing the washboard or something or whatever,
Yeah.
And so once he finally got that under control, then it was such a simple fix. But he wasn't even aware of it.
Yeah.
He just had no clue that he was doing that until I pointed out to him. And that's what coaching is saying to somebody, look, bro, you don't know what you don't know. Now, you may think you know some things, and you might actually know some things. But the things you don't know, you actually don't know.
Yeah.
So let's observe. Let's see what's going on here. And now we can start pointing these things out to start fixing these things that you're just not aware of. Simple as that.
Yeah, definitely. And the other thing that I look at is being in the medical field with medical doctors,
Hmm.
not every medical doctor is going to be 100%. So I always say, even with that field, I say if you have something wrong with you, say you have a health problem and
Hmm.
you don't necessarily like what they're saying, or maybe you do like what they're saying, you
Yeah.
might want to be open to looking at several people and what they have to say. And I think it's the same thing with the dating niche too. If you can learn from multiple people, even as an instructor or as a coach, I think it could be highly
Yeah.
valuable as well. I did see a reel recently by Jared, and he said he spends thousands and thousands of dollars getting more coaching himself.
Yep.
And
That's 100% true.
I don't think there's anything wrong with that because what that does is that makes you better at socializing, that makes you better at coaching,
Yeah.
that makes you better in the dating niche altogether. And a
Yeah.
lot of people are so scared to do that. They're like,
Hmm.
"Oh, I don't know if I could do that." But the best thing that you can invest in is yourself.
100%. Amen, dude. Couldn't have said it better myself. If you're not investing in yourself, odds are that's because you believe that the results are not going to bear the type of fruit that you want to see it have.
Yeah.
I know if I'm not going to, like, look, if you came to me with an investment opportunity, you're like, bro, check this out. I've got a tip, man. If you invest $5,000 today in this company that sells snow, like I'm gonna be like, I don't know. I appreciate the opportunity, man, but I think I'm gonna pass on that one,
Yeah,
right? Because I don't see it going anywhere,
exactly.
But if somebody says to themselves, okay, look, this is just a matter of me, just needing to have that personalized touch. Somebody pointing out what is actually wrong here, much like a trainer in the gym. If your form is all bad, and I've been there, believe you me, like I've blown out my shoulders and all kinds of crazy stuff. If your form sucks and you keep hurting yourself at the gym, I don't know. If you want to start seeing results, maybe talk to the personal trainer they got there because that person is educated. They know what they're doing. And not
Exactly.
only that, but they've worked with other people who have probably been in a worse position than you that
Yeah.
they've brought up. So why are you the special snowflake? What makes you any different that you're the one person that's not going to see the results?
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, it's brilliantly put. Really like your energy that you bring to
Oh,
this
well, thank you, man. I
podcast.
appreciate
I
that. Yeah.
think you're a really good speaker. You're one of the best speakers that I've talked to, and I'd love to talk with you again in the near future,
Yeah, dude.
maybe
I'm
when I
down.
have some more time. And what if someone wants to reach out to you, what's the best way that they could do that?
I mean, look, if you Google Dale Valor, you will find me. I'm not hard to find.
Okay.
Probably the best way to reach me though is on Instagram.
Okay.
Um, you know, at Dale Valor, or Dale Valor Modern Success actually is what it is. So yeah, but that's probably the best place to reach me.
That sounds good. I'll have a link below for your Instagram and I'll have a link below for my website, joresults.com, where they can look at my free ebook, which is
Yeah,
only 20 pages if they want to do that.
anybody from your audience that reaches out to me, all they got to do on Instagram is just reach out. That you don't have to have a conversation with me. You don't have to do nothing. All you got to do is just reach out. My new book just came out Sunday. Okay.
I'll be getting it. Hopefully you'll read mine.
Unlocking Unstoppable Confidence. It's a
Okay.
30-day guide. Every day, if you do these things, it will raise your confidence. I guarantee it. But anybody that reaches out to me, you get a free copy of that. Okay. So all you got to do is just,
Two
hey,
free
man, I,
ebooks.
I heard you on the podcast.
Two free ebooks from two highly charismatic people right here.
What's better than that, man?
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. All right. So that's the podcast. We will talk soon. Great conversation, and it will be longer next time, my friend.
All right. Sounds good, bro. I'm down.